All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Girls Got Game. I hope everyone had an amazing reading week. I'm sure we would all love to share our experiences, but unfortunately, there's only 3 of us today. It's Emma, Ella, and Natasha here in the studio. Hey, guys. So today we are going to be doing a little bit of a special theme day. We're going to be doing each of us listing our top 5 moments in sport.
In the past decade.
Yes,
So
in celebration of it's 2020. Whoop whoop. So we're going to be going all the way back to 2010, and yeah, we're just going to be talking about the moments that inspired us, that really transcended upon us, and that
just moments that stuck with us in sport.
Memorable moments. Like it could be like moments you spent with your family that really changed your outlook on sport, or where you realized that someone was your new role model.
Yeah.
So.
And we discussed doing all female sports because obviously there's some really awesome female moments, and that's the whole point of the show. But we also thought
we have a couple male.
And we like to be equal, not women over men. You know?
There's definitely some male moments that you can't ignore.
Exactly. Yeah. No, for sure.
Shall I start us off?
There also are, like, because we kind of, like, separated and said, okay, everyone, like, don't talk to each other. Let's figure out our own 5. There are some overlapping ones, but I think we all brought different points. So, like, it won't be a clear, like, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Like, it's, like,
mine
discussion.
are definitely not in any
mine aren't in order, too.
Because, like, every sport is different. Every moment's different. And it's hard to kind of rank that in your heart.
It was hard to pick 5.
I know.
I had a list of,
I was like, so many things happened.
Okay. Well, my first one's a unique one. I feel like it's a big moment in sport and in Canadian sport specifically, but I feel like it kind of gets forgotten. It's the Usain Bolt and Andre DeGrasse photo. Everyone knows the photo.
Yeah.
From the 2016 Rio Olympics.
Yeah. Rio.
And he was the only Canadian in that 200-meter semifinal race, which just made it a little more exciting. And I remember watching it.
Like he's also like I know that sounds bad, but he was also really good. Like it wasn't like people had high hopes for him. He was the only Canadian that like actually had a chance and was in part of the race.
Oh yeah, no. And he actually hit his personal best of 1980 for 200 meters, which I feel like when you think of it, like track and swimming are those ones where you're like watching them and you're like, okay, Usain Bolt looks really fast, okay? So he doesn't count. But I feel like you look at 200 meters and you're like, oh yeah, like I can, I can do that. And then you see their timing and you're like, there's no way.
Yeah. Things just got real.
Yeah. When I did track in like elementary school, that doesn't really compare at all. But
little Ella running as fast as she can.
I remember getting like 30 seconds and be like, hell yeah, I'm so good. Definitely more than 30 seconds even. But so we actually went on to place second right behind Usain Bolt in the finals, and he got that silver medal.
That was unreal by itself. It's just that picture though. That picture and that moment, like I was watching it on TV. I was gonna say live, but I think that would make it seem like I was there. I was not there. It's just like you felt like that, like that's like the definition of like sports bringing people together. And it was almost like in that moment it like stopped being a competition. It was more about like supporting each other and like just the love of running.
I remember
which is
so
crazy.
Unexpected too. Like when it was happening, I just remember being like, is this happening right now?
And I feel like the Olympics, I mean, as sport media students, I feel like we love the Olympics, and that's kind of like the highest, if you want to produce or direct or something like that, it's like the highest you could possibly get, right?
Yeah.
That I know of. But for the Olympics, I find there's always people you've like never seen, never heard of before, and then they come out and win like a gold medal for Canada. Like even Rosie McLennan, when she first won way back.
For what was it for? Sorry,
I just mean when she like came out into the sports world, like no one really knew who she was, and she's from so close to Toronto, and it's like
I know it's crazy because you know all like the professional sports players. And you're always proud of how they represent Canada. Yeah. Meanwhile, like there's a lot of these like people that also
work so hard for 4 years for like 30 seconds of actual competition, which is insane. But that one I put at my number 1 just because it was like
it was a great moment.
That photo every time I look at it, because it just looks like the
it's
older
such
brother
a warm
looking down
feeling.
On his little brother,
It's
cute. And I was surprised. When I was doing my research for it, that there were so many articles talking about how like Usain Bolt, like I know the first race they had, which was the semifinal, 20, I guess it's called like the Nationals.
Yeah,
or something like that, right? And that
there's like a lot of competitions that lead up to like
racing is one of those ones that has a lot of small ones. But one of the major small ones. they were, you know, like little brother, like Usain Bolt was like bringing him up. And then after the Olympics, there were all these articles about like Usain Bolt's like cheesed because he's trying to like take over his spot, which I was like,
I don't know if I
interesting
believe that.
because I didn't hear anything about that at the Olympics, right?
I mean, you go off just going off of that photo in that moment.
You can't smile at someone like that and hate
look
them.
at the look on his face. Like he definitely wouldn't have.
Yeah, but I like the moment right after they cross the line. Like, I don't know how they're doing this. Like, if I was running 200 meters trying to like beat Usain Bolt, I'd be looking directly ahead of me.
That just shows how fast they are, though.
Andre DeGrasse is like casually looking over at him, like smiling.
Yeah. When it was happening, I was kind of like, wait,
because them two were also significantly ahead of everyone else, and not to like diminish them, but like that just proves how fast they are, because the other guys are obviously really fast too. But like the fact, exactly to your point, the fact that they could like lose their focus a little bit and look at each other, just like. It was a great. It was almost like a passing the torch moment for me. Like Usain Bolt's like, I'm not going to be doing this much longer. Like, this is going to be your time to shine. Like eventually, which was so cute. I'm shocked that I don't know if I believe that he was.
I'll read the sentence. This is from CBC too, so it's not like the bad.
I know we have to trust them.
Is the storied bromance between Canada's Andre DeGrasse and Usain Bolt over? Judging by the Jamaican sprint superstar's comments ahead of this week's track and field World Championships, it would seem so. He said, "The last guy I said was going to be great disrespected me." It's almost certainly a reference to DeGrasse, the 22-year-old at the time. This is from 2017.
Yeah.
Up-and-comer who brazenly pushed Bolt last year in the Olympic 200 semifinals, eliciting a finger wag from the world's greatest sprinter in history. And you all know the finger wag, too. Yeah. But yeah, I put that one at
not this
1.
time, but maybe next time. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like that was just that was
a moment. That
Canadian
was a
sports moment.
Yeah.
And I remember we were at the cottage. We were at one of my friend's cottages, and it had been like pouring all day, and the power went off like 20 minutes before the race, and we were like, well, this is not happening.
Yeah.
And then they got it came back
fixed,
on.
Yeah.
But it was fun. Yeah. What did you guys put as number 1? I know we said it's not in order, but
mine was the U.S. women's soccer winning the World Cup, but it was more about like the controversy that caused, which I loved because like before going into the World Cup, they had like filed a lawsuit against the USSF, which is like the official governing body for both the women's and males national team. And the lawsuit was essentially like about alleged gender discrimination. And I actually have a quote about like what the document stated. So it said, despite the fact that female and male players are called upon to perform the same job responsibilities on their team and participate in international competitions for their single common employer, the USSF, the female players have been consistently paid less money than their male counterparts. This is true even though their performance has been superior to that of the male players, with the female players, in contrast to male players, becoming world champions. That was just a subtle brag in there, by the way. But so yeah, obviously you could see a little bit of gender discrimination there. So while all this is happening, like, and they're doing like all this, like they're also getting like the team was very vocal. Obviously, you don't come out filing a lawsuit against such a big company without being vocal about your like political beliefs and all that stuff. And they were like getting like a lot of hate for a lot of the things that they did. Megan Rapinoe. I don't know if I said Rapinoe. Okay, thank you. I know I'm saying that wrong. I literally Googled how to say it so many times. I'm like, I'm still gonna screw it up. Anyway, so she tweeted like this tweet that said like, I'm not going to the effing White House, because usually when like the winners like win, they get like invited to the White House and they have like a sit down dinner, and in which Trump responded saying Megan should win first before she talks. Finish the job.
Like, does he not know who she is?
Yeah. And then she went on to score like the 2 winning goals in the French game, but like
the fact that he would say that and like expect like sounds like he's expecting her to not win, you know what I mean? Which I think anyone that knows who she is knows she's pretty good. Yeah, exactly. Anyways, I just found it fascinating that while fighting for gender equality, like they won every game, left the tournament with like their 4th World Cup trophy and like a 4th star on their chest. Like I just remember like in that moment, obviously I don't really like if Canada and the US are against each other, obviously I'm going to like cheer for US. But like since it was US and like I knew all the stuff that they were doing, I was really rooting for them. And then so them winning like alone was like amazing, because I was like, yeah, like go girls, like woo, you got this. And then it made it all that like much more important because of what they were doing. And like they shouldn't need to like be able to like they just shouldn't have to prove themselves, but them winning was almost like we're like we're badass women, like we like
We like have like power behind what we're saying, and like again, going to what the document said, like we are kind of putting up better numbers than our male counterparts, yet they're getting paid more. Yeah, we are exactly.
Yeah, no, and I know I was in Italy when this was happening, so I was like, oh, we'll for sure be able to find like this major women's soccer game in Italy, and we could not find it anywhere. I think I said that last season on the show, but we could not find it, which was very disappointing because I wanted to watch, so I didn't even get to watch it live, so I had to go home and watch like the 15-minute recap,
right?
Which is just a little less exciting because you don't know what's gonna happen,
right?
But or sorry, you do know
you
what's gonna happen.
Know what's gonna happen, yeah.
Yeah, but no, I agree. That one was definitely, and like you were saying, it's kind of not that it's hard to cheer for the Americans, but just because I love Canadian soccer so much. But that was
Canada above all else. But because of what they were doing, I was like, you can't not support. Like I cannot not support them. Mm-hmm. So
and everyone knew they were gonna win basically from the beginning. And I remember making my bracket for that, and I was like, do I just be realistic, or do I say like go Canada? Yeah, which is always hard, but no, still exciting. Yeah.
No, that was definitely a great moment for me in women's sports.
Yeah. What was your number one, Natasha?
I think my number one was in 2019 when Kendall Coyne got to participate in the All-Star Weekend skills competition, and that was amazing for me because like you never really saw females. It was always a male competition, but you always know that, like, oh, there's a women's professional league, too, and they're fast skaters and everything like that. Mm-hmm. But, yeah, just seeing her and, like, getting such a good time, like, less than a second slower than the fastest skater, which, of course, was Connor McDavid. But that moment was amazing to me because you don't really get to see women's coverage at all, especially for hockey.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
But, that was amazing for me.
Yeah,
no, definitely important. Yeah. I know that literally just happened, and I feel like I was like,
I know I had to look it up, and I was like, "Are you sure that was 2019?"
Yeah,
because we're in 2020.
Yeah.
But what was amazing to me was how impressed the media was, and like the players were, and everyone just like all together.
Mhm. Yeah. No, I like that one too, and I know this year when we were watching the same thing, and I forget exactly who it was. It was someone surprising. Like I did not think they were gonna win. And I remember sitting around, like we were all watching it. We're like, oh, I wonder if they're going to beat Kendall. Right. Yeah. So yeah, that's exciting. And I like watching that kind of stuff. I know we kind of talked about it last week, but the fact that, I don't know, everyone was excited to see the women compete too, not just women. Yeah. You know what I mean? Well, like everyone was really into it.
I think it's also like putting on a show. It's hard to figure out how to make things different. And this was such an easy way, like adding women, it was such an easy way that made such a big impact that was different and like entertaining that I like you said, for everyone. Like I was watching it with like a lot of my like uncles, and I just whacked my mic. I'm sorry. I apologize for anyone's ears out there. I was watching with like a lot of my uncles and like male cousins, and they seemed to be enjoying it. So I was like, yep, this makes sense. I like this. Yeah. It's almost like just gratifying and being like, okay, like, we got this. Like, we deserve to be there too. It was cool. I like that you put that in there. I didn't know you had that one, but that was such a good one.
My second one was another male one. Again, they're not in order, but the Raptors winning the finals, obviously. I don't even think we really have to talk much about it because it's kind of obvious and everyone's heard a lot about it.
I think that would be like definitely a top 5 moment for every single Canadian out there.
Oh, it has to be.
You know, because everyone really came together. Like you talk about a country coming together, it happens for the Olympics, it happens for like all those major sporting events, but for the championships, like you just saw it all over Canada. Like everyone had their own like Jurassic Park, basically.
Yeah. Right. Well, even so we went out for dinner because it was my birthday, and then we came back to my house, and I'm like a 20-minute drive downtown if you take the Gardiner like on a good day, and
on a not crazy traffic day,
you could hear like it was so loud, and even like my area was like so loud.
Oh, there was like I was checking Snapchat, and like you know how like they have like the red areas for overpop, like literally there were so many all over Canada. Like it was crazy, and like every time I clicked it, it was people celebrating the Raptors winning, and I was like, and then they mentioned there was like a ridiculous amount of Jurassic Parks, like mini Jurassic Parks all over the country. I was like, that's awesome. Like Oh, that was crazy. It was crazy to like see and be like, "What? Yep, they're celebrating. Oh, yep." Like, how do they? It's not like rude, but I was like, how do they know about it? It's like, well, I always forget that it's like the only Canadian team, so everyone knows. Like, it was crazy.
And I feel like it makes it more exciting and kind of like, I don't want to say deserving, because obviously they deserved it, but the fact that we don't have Kawhi Leonard now, and they're still doing just
oh
as
my
good
god,
and getting the largest win margin.
Yeah. Well, because I think everyone was a little bit petty and got hurt when he left, because I didn't really think he was. Like, a part of me was like, hey, you know what? He won his championship. He's going to leave. But, like, also the part of me that was like, our team's actually awesome. And they seem like such a close group of guys. Like, he's not going to want to leave. Like, they had so much fun together. So when he actually did, I was like, oh, like, now we have to, like, show that we can do it without him. And they are, which is great.
Yeah. And obviously, that's kind of fitting that I wore this shirt
I
today.
know.
But we were going to say the buzzer beater was
Right.
like... That was a moment I can't even like put into words.
Yeah.
I just know everyone was like sitting there holding their breath.
I think I think the whole country wasn't breathing for that time. Like our whole country was like, what's gonna happen? Yeah.
When
And of
I
course it
was-
bounced like 8 times. Like, it was just it was honestly better than a movie. Like, you couldn't make that in a movie.
I was in the U.S. for that moment, and I
Oh, boy.
remember I was in San Francisco, and I was watching the game at a restaurant with my parents, and me and my mom couldn't really see the TV from where we were, so we got up and moved, and we stood at the bar, and like, I'm not of age in the U.S., right?
Oh, right.
And
I always forget it's 21.
I know, it's weird. But there were literally mothers with their little children and like fathers holding their babies in front of the bar watching this game. And as soon as that happened, like it bounced over the rim, everyone was like, oh, oh. And I don't know. I think most of them were honestly cheering for the Raptors. It was amazing. And then when it happened, the bartender, like, he's not watching, right? He's serving drinks and everything.
Right.
And he was like,
He's doing
I
his
missed
job.
it. I missed it. And he was like, who was it? Who was it? And it was just such an amazing moment that
I honestly
just
don't think I
showed-
would have been doing my job. I think I would
No,
have been paying attention to the
absolutely
TV.
not.
Someone would be asking, hey, can I get a drink? Hold on.
I'll get fired for that
Yeah.
moment. It's fine.
Yeah, that was a fun one. And it kind of went on for weeks too. Like, it wasn't just that moment.
Oh,
Like,
exactly.
even now there's still so much hype, which is unfortunate because that means jerseys are like so expensive.
As soon as like
okay.
they made the finals, I feel like prices for everything went up.
Yeah.
I
And
was
then,
actually looking at Raptors tickets last night, and
like, even
that was
like
crazy.
the nosebleed section is gone up in price. And
at least $150.
Huh,
per game.
yeah.
Yes, we're only gonna be able to watch the Blue Jays at this point.
I
like,
know.
which is not
A
bad.
part of me
Like,
doesn't want them to become good because I want to have to somewhere to go. Like,
Yeah, I feel that. What were your other second choices?
second choice. Oh, for me was Christine Sinclair winning the Canadian Soccer Player of the Decade, and
Yes, I put that as another one of mine.
Yeah. I know. Yeah, and I love that it wasn't like a woman Canadian soccer player. It was like just Canadian soccer player. So like better than men. I'm joking. Well, like it was just she was in the same field and it was like everyone. And I kind of like wanted to like say a quote that she said, and it was, when I was growing up, you didn't know there was a women's national team. Now girls are growing up dreaming of playing for Canada, which is like, I wrote a question here that I wanted to ask you guys. Do you think she realizes how much she's contributed to like these young girls seeing themselves in soccer?
Oh, I
would
think
say
she
so.
does. I
Yeah.
think for sure, because I think that's also one of her goals. You know,
Right.
I think she keeps that in mind when she achieves that kind of success. And I think she definitely knows, and I think she wants to like push that even further. too.
Yeah. No, I agree. I was like, because when she won it, I have been like that moment at one point in my life saying I want to be like Christine Sinclair. Like soccer at one point was like a huge part of my life.
Yeah.
But then like seeing all the records, at one point I got all her records. I was like, well, I'm not as good as that, so I can never do that. But then like following the team and like seeing how encouraging she was, and like she's been very open about like how she got to where she was, and like dedication and like working hard and like pushing boundaries. And I was like, oh, well, maybe it's possible for anyone who tries hard enough and puts in enough effort to do it, which is great because I don't think she's like, I got here because I'm amazing. It's kind of like I got
No,
here
she's
because I
very
worked
humble.
For
hard
hard
and
work.
like
Yeah, she
have
wants
a
other
great
people to
team
see
and
that
like
too.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I think every time I've seen her in the media, like doing commercials and things like that, it's never been like a chill commercial. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
always been about the hard work.
Right.
Like you see her working out, sprinting,
Yeah.
like in a game or something like that. It's definitely, I think she does a very good job of communicating the hard work that
Right,
it takes
that
to
it
get
takes,
there. And the
exactly.
fact that anyone can do it as well.
Yeah.
Like her work with young girls and everything like that.
Yeah.
And also the number of times that I've seen her like playing like actually there, when they walk out onto the field, everyone's like obviously cheering and really hype, and she looks so centered and focused, like she's ready to go, but she's still
In the moment.
appreciating the crowd and like waving to people. And at the end of the game, even if they lose, like she'll come over and sign autographs and stuff, which is like, I don't know. I feel like a lot of other athletes, when they get to her level, like I would say she's one of the best Canadian athletes ever. They, you know, it's easy to get caught up in the fame, but like you were saying, like she's very humble.
Yeah. No, yeah, I agreed. It's easy
She's
to be
very
like,
genuine.
yeah. It's almost like she's not she's not famous. You know,
Yeah,
if that
she
makes
doesn't act
sense.
like
Like
she
it's
is,
like everyone knows who she's probably the most famous, like especially Canadian like soccer player. Like
Oh yeah.
like if you're like name soccer players, her probably name is one of the only women's names that get dropped. Yet I don't think she ever acts like that, which again goes to your point about her being so like she just seems like a lovely woman, and like she's like could be like a part of like a friend group, and like you just see her as like an everyday person.
Yeah. And I loved when she hit the record a couple weeks ago with her over 185 goals. Someone was asking her in an interview, I think it was one of the Olympic qualifying games, because now they're qualified,
Right.
and they were asking her about basically like passing the torch to Jordan.
Oh, yeah.
And she was
love
saying
those
like,
moments.
I know, it was so cute, because I guess that was kind of Jessie Fleming too, but Jessie Fleming's now like, I don't want to say middle age, but in that age group, she's definitely not one of the younger ones. Like there's a 16-year-old on the team.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my God, yeah.
But she was just kind of, she wasn't saying like, oh, you know, I'm passing it off to her because I think I'm done or anything. Like she did not even act remotely like she was on her way out, which is amazing. She's been in there for so long. And one of the things I find crazy about her is that she won the Canadian Soccer Player of the Year 2010, 2011, 2012, 13, 14, 16, 18.
Yeah.
And now like the Soccer Player of the Decade too.
Yeah.
So she is definitely worthy of those.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, her records speak for themselves. Like she definitely deserves to be there. Yeah.
How about you, Natasha? What else did you have there?
My number 2, again, this isn't really in order or anything, but number 2 on my list would be Bianca winning the U.S. Open.
It's on mine too.
just a little bit of a disclaimer. I am a complete bandwagoner, so I don't really follow tennis. I don't keep up with tennis. I wasn't raised with that sport really in mind. I definitely like last year. It really opened my mind opened up to the skill it takes, and like you know, like I don't know, I have an appreciation now for the hard work that it takes. And I was actually in New York attending a baseball game across the street from where the US Open was taking place, and you know baseball fans, right? Like they like their beer at the games, their peanuts and everything, their hats, their shirts.
It is good.
And
or like a baseball game.
Yeah, it's baseball, and contrast that with the audience of tennis,
right?
You know, and so we got on the subway after the baseball game, and Bianca's match with Serena was happening.
The final one?
Yes.
Okay.
As we were on the train, and there were some workers that were working the game, and there were the baseball fans that were all rowdy, and then there were, I guess, the tennis fans that decided to leave early or whatever. And you saw kind of
people.
Yeah, I don't know why you would leave that early. Maybe they wanted to beat the traffic. I don't know, but I just remember being on the train and hearing everyone talking about it. And you saw the baseball fans that were all like, oh yeah, rah, 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 whatever. And then you saw the tennis fans, and everyone was interacting. The workers, the fans, the people that were obviously more wealthy, the people that had just come from the baseball game that were like, wait, what's happening? And it was crazy to see them arguing and everything. And that just, and then she won, and it was amazing. And, you know, we're in Toronto and everything. So that was an incredible, not moment, but just kind of event to me, because it had such an effect on the Canadian media and everyone just getting behind her again, because she is such a young woman.
Right.
And everyone getting behind a young woman, especially going up against Serena Williams, was very crazy.
I think it was very like, you were either Bianca or you were Serena.
Yes.
Like even the audience, well, the audience was mostly Serena. Yes. But like just the world in general. I mean, I love Serena Williams, so I was like, I wouldn't be disappointed if she won.
Yeah.
But I was obviously Team Bianca because I was like,
Yeah.
of course, like Canada. But yeah, like there was such a divide, and yet like I think people were still very like respectful of like the game and like people's feelings, and like I never found anything to be super like rude or like anything that happened. It was a very unique tennis match in the sense that I don't watch a lot of tennis, but like tennis is usually really quiet.
Yeah.
Like the odd time you'll hear cheering, but that was a very loud game. And then just even hearing like Bianca's comments after saying like it was so hard to like drain out the audience, but I'm proud that I was able to do that. But for her to like keep emphasizing that just proves how loud it was and how like what a moment that was, because everyone was just getting like, for like tennis players that are usually so like composed, like tennis watchers and that like know the rules, for them to be screaming and getting into it just proves how like
what a game
emotional that was and what a game it was. Exactly.
I also, the way I like looking at it is that at the beginning of the decade, like 2010, Bianca was 10 years old, which is grade 5, and Serena Williams in 2010 was the world's best tennis player already.
Wow.
And then that just completely flipped. And when she won that US Open, like that was her biggest moment, I would definitely say. But she hit like 3-4 different records, I guess. She was the first Grand Slam title. She was the first Canadian to win a Grand Slam singles title, the first to win the US Open in their main draw debut, and the first teenager to win since 2006. So
Teenager.
Yeah, I love how that's already a thing. Like,
can we just appreciate that?
Yeah.
Aw. And she got the Lou Marsh, which is, again, very deserving.
That was amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. That really kind of sent a message, I think.
Yeah.
Across Canada.
Yeah.
And it just made everyone feel like, we need to appreciate this.
Yeah.
So,
no, I think,
Can we talk about her online presence? Because she'll like comment on 6buzz posts and stuff. Like, she's still acting
She's
like a
so-
teenager.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which is good. It's nice that she hasn't
no, I haven't.
changed or
Yeah.
anything.
I don't think anything's gotten to her head. Like I think she's too strong mentally. Like if that makes like going back to again what I was saying before about like just her ability to like stay mentally focused. The one thing that I noticed too, what I was watching was like how is she so composed right now? Like you're up against Serena Williams already. I'd be like shitting my pants. Like that's already terrifying. And you're at her home and like with like there was like Beyonce there. There was like a bunch of like celebrities that were supporting Serena. Like how do you not, as a teenager who like usually aren't as emotionally or like experienced in that like dealing with that stuff. So yeah, I think just her emotional maturity is like too high to like I feel like fully get like taken over by like her popularity and her
There's definitely a part where you appreciate that, especially because after she won, she was on such a high. You know, she had broken all these records, you know, and she was getting all this attention from the media, and
a
now
lot of expectations.
A lot of expectations. She said she wanted to go up in the rankings. She had a new goal that she thought she could attain, and we know she'll get there someday. But now she's injured. She's recovering from an injury. That takes so much mental toughness. So much like, oh my God, I just came off this high, and now I'm dealing with all these lows, and you've still got to be this really strong person, this young, confident, fierce woman on social media.
And you know, I can imagine with a lot of those sports like tennis or baseball or even hockey, you're so used to putting your body in these positions that are not literally putting yourself in positions, but putting yourself through things that put strain on your body. Like she's hitting that ball so hard with her one arm.
Do you see her arms?
I know. So I'm sure as soon as she like, you know, took a step back and got injured, I guess, and realized like I have to, you know, just rest and get better. Her whole body probably like let out the sigh because it's so physically challenging.
I know.
Which is again awesome to do at such a young age. And I feel like I know we did an episode of this last season as well about young athletes and talking about Penny Alexiak and Bianca Andreescu and so many others that they start out so young, which is awesome, but probably by the time they get to like 27, they're going to be very worn out, which is different than
we've been seeing
older athletes.
That's a good.
So it'll be interesting to see where she
ends up
goes
in, her,
in this
like,
next decade. Where will she be in 2030?
Yeah.
Oh, we could do a show on that.
A 10-year reunion.
Stay tuned for 2030.
No, it sounds so weird because they'll be like 30.
Stop.
Oh my God.
Okay, so number 4.
Wait, number three.
Okay, number 3. I already did my number 3 because we talked about it, but
Oh, okay.
someone else can start if you want.
Who has another number 3?
My number 3 is literally Simone Biles, the Rio 2016.
Oh, yeah,
that's
like,
that was
that's
my
all
number
I need
4.
to get saved.
Yeah.
Yeah. Literally, she won like 5 medals.
Yeah.
And like that, like she officially got her 4th flip named after her, and that like
That's so cool to have a
Things
move named
yeah.
after you. That's
Like,
a big sign that you
again,
you've
I think
made it.
that speaks for it enough. I mean,
Yeah.
during like the competition, because they do like beams and like different. I don't know a lot about gymnastics. I'm like kind
They
of a
do, like,
bandwagoner.
high
Where's
bars,
Elizabeth?
I
high
know.
bars,
They do
floor,
like different competitions,
beam,
and she wasn't
vault.
always in first because like she was she had like her other competition competitors, Mustafina and like Rasmin, who were better in like beams and like a lot of the things that
Yeah.
came before her. But as soon as like there was the floor routine, that's
She
where
just-
like Simone like everyone knew when she
Yeah.
was like, you watch other like the other gymnasts perform and you're like, whoa, and then you watch her and you're like speechless. Literally, yeah, I literally was like, I don't know what sound effect to make, like literally speechless. So yeah, as soon as she performed, like that's when like I think everyone watching knew, okay, she
Yeah.
won this. But it was great that she wasn't like, you saw that like she isn't the greatest at everything, which is comforting because like that'd be like to watch her
That'd
be
be
like, how are
crazy.
you amazing and
I
like so
know.
many things. But like when it was her time to shine, she really stepped up to the plate and like killed it, like absolutely killed it. But yeah, that was literally my 3rd. It's just like Simone Biles, like
Yeah.
like that's it.
Well, I feel like also I mean, again, this is a stereotype, but that's okay. I feel like every little kid, especially females, do gymnastics at least once.
Yeah.
Just because it's like, the first thing you want to do, like gymnastics, dance, and soccer.
Yeah, for some reason, everyone knows how to do a cartwheel.
No, that is not true.
Really?
Mine's not great. My
I mean, I
knees are
can.
bent.
There are definitely people
mean,
that
I
cannot.
think I think in my head I know how to do it a lot better than it looks.
Yes.
Yeah, but I feel like gymnastics, everyone kind of has a bit of an idea, at least, of
Yeah,
what it is. And
that's
then
fair.
you see them do it, and you're like, that is 10 times harder than what I was thinking she was
Yeah.
going to do, right?
Yeah.
And to the degree of perfection
Yes.
that they do it to. Like, not only can they do it, but it's so, like, it's breathtaking when they stick that landing. Or,
It's one thing to do a backflip. It's one thing to do a backflip where every
Perfectly.
part of your body is in the perfect spot
Yeah.
and like you
Yeah.
land perfect. Yeah, like
So the New York Times actually has these videos where they analyze a jump like that. And I think that's why I like sports like figure skating and snowboarding and gymnastics, because the amount of confidence that these athletes have to throw themselves, like for snowboarding, off like a 3-story
Oh my
hill,
God, yeah.
do 3 rotations and like 100, I don't even know, it's a high number degrees of rotations,
Yeah.
and then like land
Land.
it perfectly is insane. So whenever the New York Times, I know.
That's always my thing. Figure skating. I'm like, how are when they do that? Like when the guy's like spinning
The
her on
sound
the
effect.
skate. Like I'm like, how do you get up and know where you are? Anyways,
Yeah.
sorry, that was my thing.
No, but I was just saying, like, that's why I think Simone Biles in gymnastics is so interesting to watch to everyone, because it's one of those sports that you don't look at it and go, oh, I could do that, like running.
No, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's like, that's like a different level of human right there.
And they're so young, too.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was crazy. That was also my 3rd, was Simone Biles, because
Yeah.
I kind of, my parents are definitely listening right now. I grew up hating the Olympics because I didn't understand. I was like, why can't we just watch like the normal cartoons or something? Why do we have to watch the
They would
stupid
force you to watch.
luge? Like, why are we watching this? But then as I grew up and I got more into sports and I realized, oh my God, this is like the pinnacle of amateur sports. And then I eventually wanted to compete in the Olympics myself.
Aw.
It completely changed my outlook on watching it and appreciating the athletes. And you're right, everyone does do, well, kind of everyone does do gymnastics at some point in their lives. And I did gymnastics for what felt like forever when I was a kid. And I really enjoyed it, but apparently I was never paying attention. Shout out to my mom. But just seeing the attention that what did they call them? They had a nickname for their team. It was like the Final Five.
Oh,
Yes.
right.
The U.S. Olympic team.
Yeah.
They were nicknamed the Final Five
They're all
because
so
they
cute,
were
those
just
girls.
a powerhouse. And the media attention that I saw for weeks after the Olympics was something that really changed my outlook on women in sports, because you don't really get to see women's sports broadcast on a regular basis.
Yeah.
Every 2 years when the Summer Olympics or the Winter Olympics comes around, you see like this surge in interest in women's sports and
Right.
female sports, and even like female broadcasters to be covering these sports. so when the Rio happened, I think there's a stat about how that had the highest participation for female athletes.
Right. No, yeah.
And I want to say it was noticeable, but it wasn't quite noticeable. But just
because I feel like, to your point, every year the Olympics brings up more female athletes than ever. So you're always like,
totally.
That's the biggest like female athlete event, like kind of thing. So to hear that, you're kind of like, whoa, like that's amazing. But you're also like, there were always females, and that's like the Olympics is like the one competition where you could say like the females are equal to the males, because you're seeing quite a few of like the like both competitions.
Yeah, that's why I think 3 of my 5 moments are from the Olympics, is because
they're
that's the only time of every 2 years where you get to see all the female sports.
Yeah.
Like it even if you wanted to watch the CWHL when it was like happening,
You can't.
it was so hard.
Yeah.
It was so hard. Whereas like there's NHL games on all the time. You can get it from like different broadcasters and everything. So creds to the Olympics for bringing these moments to our attention.
Yeah. I have another Olympic one on here. I'll keep it short because I feel like I talk about this athlete all the time. But the 2014 Sochi Olympics, Mark McMorris did his slopestyle run and got a bronze. And slopestyle is the one where the top of the hill is all the rails and boxes and fun stuff like that, and then the bottom has 3 progressively bigger jumps. And Canada was actually one of the strongest countries in this event, which was cool. They had 3 athletes in it. Him, Seb Toots, who's from Montreal, and Max Perot, who's I think also from Montreal. And Mark McMorris had a broken rib like literally weeks before. So again, I don't know how they do that. And his first run was pretty bad because he messed up the landing on the first one, so he didn't have the like speed to get into the second and third jumps. So you just have to skate by them,
another
right?
thing I've noticed. I was watching like, I don't know what it was. I think it was like the like on your road to Olympic Games, and they were doing that thing where like it's like the loop and they're skating up. But as soon as they screwed up the first one, that's it.
You
like,
can't. Yeah.
It's so hard to get back because you need to pick up that speed. Anyways, I really was like, oh my God, I didn't realize how important like the first. Like if you screw up the beginning, it's so hard to get yourself back on. Like anyone that screwed up in the beginning, like their scores were like automatically lower, even if their third jump was amazing, because it's like the first jump if like affects the second jump so much. Anyway, sorry, continue.
So slopestyle has 2 runs, and then they pick your highest mark, and they mark out of 100. So his first run, because he only did 1 jump and didn't even land it very well, he got a 35, and then his second run, out of 100, he got 93.5, which. Wow. When you think 93.5 and that's only bronze, you're like, oh wow, someone was very good. But yeah, I put that one up there just because I'm a very large Mark McMorris fan, so I had to include one in there. But yeah, so those were my 5. I said mine. Which ones did you guys not get in there yet?
Mine was the 2011, the Japan winning the World Cup. The only reason why it was like a big one for me was because like all the stuff that was happening. There was like an earthquake and like tsunami in like northeastern Japan, and like that caused like a bunch of deaths. Yeah. So just I remember like
the political and social,
and like the impact that Japan like was like bringing home that victory to their country. I just remember being so like almost taken back by it, because you didn't realize, like I never realized how much winning a soccer tournament could make on like a whole country. Like your country's in devastation, and like that's like something that you could like pick on to be like proud of. They were also, the Japanese were the first women's soccer team to become the first Asian of any gender to win a World Cup, which is obviously amazing because they're like setting records for women out there. But yeah, I just remember being like, that's when I like really realized, because I was like watching quite a bit of soccer back then. I mean, I was only 11, so like I didn't really understand like how
politics,
like how like the world works. But I just remember being like, so many people were like either devastated because of all the stuff that were happening, but then there was also those people that were like our Japan team just won, and like you saw like joy, and it was like, that's awesome that like something so small, like in the scheme of things, something so small like a World Cup game like soccer could bring like people like even just a littlest bit of joy, which was awesome.
Oh, that's a good one to put on there. I feel like I did not even think about that one, but that's good.
Yeah.
And so actually, speaking of the Olympics, while we're on this, and then you can finish yours, Natasha, but a couple days ago, the IOC announced that if it's too dangerous to hold the Olympics in Tokyo this summer because of coronavirus, they're going to have to cancel it. And
that's unbelievable.
I feel like there's a lot of people that don't really understand the Olympics that are commenting like, oh, why don't they just like move it somewhere else or postpone it or something? And I'm like, do you realize literally the Olympics end and they already start planning the next Olympics for 4 years later?
Because they have to build the facilities. They have to build
so much that
everything.
goes into it. Yeah.
No, yeah,
So
they
that's
definitely can't postpone, and they
disappointing.
definitely can't move it somewhere
No,
else. It's
yeah.
just whether or not if it's happening or not. Like that's the only.
I think
I'll be so sad
they
if it's
should postpone it, because imagine them being like, you know what, it's the coronavirus isn't contained. We're gonna bring all of the best athletes in the world to the
that's
island.
what I'm saying. Then that's it. They should just
where
cancel it.
is.
Yeah.
But I think they
As
should postpone
broken
it.
of my heart that sounds, but I think like I think how can you postpone it to the point of like everything that goes into planning it and like
Yeah.
I don't know.
Because
it's
I
also-
think they still need to utilize those buildings. Like
They might do it again there
everything.
next time. Like I'm not like those facilities will still get
Yeah.
used. But when
Yeah.
do you postpone it for?
Maybe till it's contained.
I mean,
know?
the thing is, like, we have no idea how long it's gonna be. Like, yeah, I get what you mean.
Yeah, no,
but
I
it's
get-
so
exactly, I
hard
get
to
what you
like
mean, but,
plan
like-
around that. And the
Yeah.
thing is, too, like, there's a lot of these athletes that I find with the Olympics, because it's like 4 years away. There could be a soccer player similar to Christine Sinclair, where they're on their way out, and in 4 years they could be too old. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they could totally lose it. And like we were saying earlier, like,
I never thought of
yeah, that like you could have your last Olympic game and not know
Yeah.
it because they canceled this
This-
Tokyo
yeah.
Olympics because of a very good cause.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying don't cancel it, but yeah, that would
No,
be
I don't.
very
I think if
disappointing
they
for
do
those
cancel
athletes.
it, that was not a easy decision where someone
No,
was just like,
definitely not.
like there's going to be a lot of like thinking and research and like everything to because
Yeah.
the Olympics isn't something you like casually cancel. Like
Oh no,
But
definitely.
I know they'll try and make the decision to do what's best
No,
for
for sure,
the
yeah,
athletes,
yeah.
because I think they're taking into consideration the athletes and the health risks before. Oh, we built these facilities.
no, exactly.
It's a lot of
That's
money.
how it should be. Yeah.
Because it is a lot of money. It's so much money.
Oh, yeah.
It's like
I do think
the
eventually
the
they'll
biggest event of
utilize
every
those.
4 years.
If it does get canceled, I think they should eventually.
They
go back.
definitely would. Like, even here in Toronto when we had the Pan Am
Oh, yeah.
Games, like now they
Oh,
use
like
those as
so many- yeah.
apartments, right? Like, I'm sure, and I wonder if they could even use them as some sort of like coronavirus. I don't know,
Oh.
like use it somehow to house doctors from around the world or
Yeah.
something like that. I don't know.
Yeah,
So
that's
who knows?
smart.
Maybe
That was
it'll
a
go
good
to
idea.
a good use.
Yeah.
I should talk to them. Yeah. Do you have any leftover, Natasha? I know I definitely have a few runner-ups.
I
But
do. I have the Canadian women's hockey team in the Sochi 2014.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yes, that was
winning
on my list, too.
gold and the OT winner. But I also wanted to talk about the 2018 at Pyeongchang, where
Yeah.
they lost to
Right.
the Americans, and that's one for me. It really hit because you were like, "Wow, this is a rivalry."
Yeah.
Because there's never really. You never know who the winner's gonna be. We're always neck and neck. You never know. Is it gonna be Canada this year?
Yeah.
Is it gonna be USA? And that, because Marie-Philippe Poulin was such an inspiration. She was such a leader. And I think everyone was kind of expecting everything to happen again because they had won gold
Right, yeah.
for 4 straight Olympics.
Yeah.
And winning silver
I know.
was completely devastating. And I remember
Still amazing, but
watching-
devastating.
Yeah, I remember watching the game with my family, and it just brought so much like national pride. Like, you know what? We're still an amazing team.
Oh, yeah. That I don't think
Yeah.
that was ever questioned. I just think it was like they lost to the States.
Even
that was
though
my thought.
even though we lost, like usually when you say a memorable moment, it's a victory or something.
Right.
But I think for me, the loss sticks more in my head than
Yeah.
the past. You know, there are 4 Olympics in a row where they won gold, even the OT winner, because the loss just kind of shows like there's never a guarantee in
Right.
sports. And that's what I love about sports. That's what I love about competition, is that there's never a guarantee. The second you underestimate your competition, you've
That's
already
it.
lost. Like, that's
Yeah.
literally what I tell myself in my head. And I have this superstition when I'm fencing, if I think about the final score or the next match while I'm in a match, I always lose that match.
Yeah.
And I think Canadians may have gotten a little bit ahead of themselves. And so that hockey game I could just really relate to. So
Yeah.
that would be one of my moments for sure.
Yeah. I feel like we covered all of mine that I had, even the runner-ups, actually, which is good.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
No, yeah. Literally, my last one was just like the amount of introductions of like female coaches in the past decade to like
Ooh,
professional.
that's a good one. Yeah, that counts
like,
too.
Since 2015, there was like 7 full-time female coaches that started to work in the NHL. The Arizona Coyotes like announced that their like new skating coach was a female. And then just in like 2020, the San Francisco Giants announced that they hired their first full-time coach. So I feel like over the past decade, there's definitely been a lot more female
Yeah.
coaches
definitely.
in male professional sports, which I thought was awesome. And I thought
Yeah,
was like
that's a good one.
a pretty big, like, hopefully continues, but pretty
Yeah.
big, like, impact and like change over the past decade.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's it. I covered all mine. That was my last one.
That was fun. Those were all really good ones. But I have a question to end us off. We got 5 minutes left. So who is a female athlete that you are looking forward to seeing in the next decade? So like we were joking about 2030, but literally who are you looking forward to seeing? I know I have mine, so I'll give you guys a second to think about it, but I definitely would say Jordan Huitema.
Okay.
Just the fact that she's 18 years old and already like a huge star, and she plays in the French Division 1 club for, I was going to say it with a French accent, but I won't, Paris Saint-Germain. And she also obviously plays for the national team. And she started playing at 4 years old, which is cool because everyone, like we were saying, I feel like every little kid plays soccer at least once.
Yeah, they try
or decides they don't like it, right?
Well, it's also incorporated in, like, I swear, gym classes.
Yeah, definitely.
So, like,
yeah, it's part
even
of
that
curriculum.
counts. Like,
Everyone knows.
You try it, and might not be your thing, but you've at least tried it.
Or like even when you're driving through the city, you always pass soccer fields and you see the late games or you see the lights on at night.
I don't know mine.
And something I thought was kind of cool about her, clearly she comes from an athletic family because she has a brother, Brody, and he played for the Whitecaps like residency program, and he played for Duke University. And her brother, Trent, played in the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League with the Humboldt Broncos, which I had no idea until I was doing my research about her, and then I was like, wow, they're clearly a very talented family.
It's like the Nurse family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's cool to see where she's going to go in the next 10 years, and hopefully Christine Sinclair will actually pass off the torch to her. But yeah, that's who I'm excited to see. How about you guys?
I'm going to bring it back to Bianca Andreescu. I think, again, she's going through an injury right now, and what she's proven so far and being so young, especially how Serena Williams is one of her idols and how Serena Williams has proven that, you know, age to her is just a number. It's all about the heart that you have and how hard you work. And even if you have a baby, you can come back and win a title. I think that's going to be really interesting because Bianca's gotten so much support so far, and I want to see how that continues, how her mental toughness develops. Will we see a change on social media? It's just something I'm genuinely interested in following.
That's cool. Like, will she become the next Serena Williams? Like,
yeah.
Dun, dun, dun.
How about you, Emma?
I think mine is Penny Alexiak. Sorry. Yeah, just because, like, she was so young in Rio and, like, set a bunch of records. It's, like, there's, like, a lot of pressure on her. So, like, just obviously seeing where she goes and, like, how she deals with stuff. Her family also, too, is a huge sports family.
Oh, yeah.
Like, her brother is in the NHL, I swear. I don't know what team.
But the friendship between those two you just named is so cute.
Especially because Penny she's quiet. She's in the background, and it's like swimming is also kind of in the background, and I feel like for female swimmers they are quite young when they hit their peak. But yeah, that friendship's very interesting because Bianca is a little bit more bold.
Yeah, but like, maybe that's why they work. Like,
honestly, remember when they did that feature with Serge and Biz? What was that for the holidays? For the holidays, it was like Thanksgiving. Because he had never had Thanksgiving because
it wasn't like a brand, right?
No, I don't think it was.
Watching it, trying to figure it out.
It was just a feature.
Oh, cool.
But I remember watching that and being like, "Is Penny gonna speak?" And then she did, and it's hilarious because she has like all these Olympic medals, and she's just chilling there at the table. Yeah, amazing.
A part of me also wants to see like where like the older like Serena Williams and Christine Sinclair where they end up. Yeah, that's like in terms of like helping out the younger generation. Will they be coaches? Anything like that, Oh
my god, I would love that if Christine Sinclair
coached. Yes, that's what I mean. Like 30 years for younger and for older does a lot in like someone's career.
Oh yeah,
like, her career. I don't think Christine Sinclair, when she finishes playing soccer, is gonna be over. Like
to
your point of like
not.
coaching and stuff like that.
I didn't think about that before, but yeah, that's interesting to see in 10 years. Like she'll be old.
I don't. It's not old, but soccer anymore. That's
for professional sports. Yeah, that's old. Those were all cool. I like that.
This was a good discussion. I like this.
And obviously we missed Kennedy and Elizabeth, but I feel like that gave us a lot of time to talk about.
You know what? When we should do another one talking about the next decade, and they will bring us in to that.
True.
So thank you for listening today. Tune in next week. We're going to be talking about our favorite sports movies, and maybe we'll give a little sneak peek into the next decade. Have a good Wednesday, everyone.